Hey, good morning. Well, hold on a second. Good morning. This is what happens when you produce your own thing and you do all the technical and the AV and everything all at the same time. It's daunting. But you know what? It's fun. It's challenging. It's life, and you just have to deal with it, right? Okay. So welcome to today. We're talking about the highs and lows. We're talking about San Jose Snapshot. What's going on in our little city, our little town, Santa Clara County, as well as the entire nation. We're going to talk about median price. We're talking about absorption rate. And we'll go in a little bit more about all that stuff and why it's important. But 3 things you need to know. First off is mow your lawn. Mow your lawn. It's ridiculous. I have brand new neighbors. I know they're like totally overwhelmed, but here's the thing. You come into a neighborhood and then you don't take care of your house. It's telling. And next thing you know, somebody gives a couple kids on Halloween a bunch of eggs and then your house gets egged. Not saying it's me, just saying if you continue to not mow your lawn or take care of your house, we'll let you know. You know, my name is Vito. I break legs for a living, and that's the way it is. Just kidding. Having some fun with this. But seriously, guys, mow your lawn. I know you move into a house and you're overwhelmed. You're trying to move stuff in. The last thing you want to do is mow your lawn. But it's a blight. It looks like crap. And I don't know how many other people are going to complain about this. But mow your lawn. Enough said. Whew. Okay. Rates of $4.99. Well, yeah, it's absolutely possible. Now, okay, so here's the thing. Are you going to get $4.99 from your lender today, not from what they want to give you or what they can give you? Because right now our rates are about 7%. Yeah, up and down is about 7%. That's not looking at you, not looking at your credit or how much your down payment, how much of a risk you are. It's about 7%, right? How do you get it down to 5%, not $4.99, while you buy the rate down? And it's a thing. It's a normal thing over the history of real estate. You buy the rate down. Now you can do it yourself. You can take some of your down payment and buy it down. You can also ask the seller to do that. They're probably not going to be as willing to do it, but that's a way to stay competitive. Guys, I understand it hurts with the 7%. But let's go into the numbers really quick and talk about this here. Hang on a sec. You ready? Okay, so that I didn't get a chance to do last week, so the numbers aren't perfect. I want you to see this thing right here. Percent of over 100% over list price. So it's the sales price to list price ratio. If you looked at all the houses that sold over the last week, 78.5% of them went over list price. 66 out of the 84 closings were over 100%. There's one that was 101, right? Where is it? 1001 right here, right? Is that abnormal? Yeah, it's not abnormal. It's not, but we've been trending this upwards for the long time. There's not enough there's not enough supply for the demand. So you have competition. We only have 364 live listings, single family homes in San Jose. That's a far cry away from what we need. Now, inventory is still considerably down. I think that's this thing right here. Over the last couple of years, we're seeing our inventory drop down. Now, January 22, that's normal. We expected this to come back up here. We were supposed to be up in over 800,000. This is nationwide. Okay. Bringing it back down to San Jose, we only have, if you look at realtor.com, it's only 296, but the reality is it's, where is it? 364. That means we only have 1.7 houses for sale per square mile. It means for every 3,000 people, we have one house for sale. Now, 3,000 people, that's the entire population. There's a very small population of that or segment of that audience that wants to buy a house at this point. But just as a baseline, when you look at all the other houses, all the other cities across the nation, we do that tomorrow, you'll see that we are in a huge, huge drought of inventory. We do not have the numbers to substantiate the demand that's out there. And yes, there's real estate investors that are coming back into the market and they're paying down their rate to get 5% or 4.5% or 5.5%. It doesn't really matter, right? I mean, that is the whole point. I'm not going to go into that right now because I want to go into more of this. Don't look at the greens because I didn't update this. Our list price is 1.52. On average, I didn't do this, did I? Yeah, I did. See, on average, we're 1.58. Last year, we were 1.7. We're still below the median. We're still below the average of what the houses were selling for last year. So houses right now are a good deal. But Vito, I think the markup might crash. And you're absolutely right. Let's take a look at this right here. In every recession, in the history of recessions, except for the last one, and we're going to really focus on this in a minute, you've seen prices increase. The price index continues to go up. But Vito, there might be a massive crash, a massive storm. Okay, pros and cons, yeses and nos. I can't tell you, there's no crystal ball, right? We're heading into a recession. Meta just announced their third round of layoffs. All these things are saying recession, recession, recession. We're heading into a recession. Historically, though, if you look at these numbers, you're seeing that home prices continue to increase during the recession. Why? Because a majority of people don't get laid off. A majority of people live below their means. A majority of people save up for the time when recessions happen and buy housing, which substantiates the value, substantiates the market. It's like Bitcoin. Well, what happens when Bitcoin crashes? Everybody jumps out. A bunch of people lose their money and then people start buying, right? There's no absolute value. There's no intrinsic value tied to Bitcoin other than what we say it's worth. It's also the same thing with housing, except for it's a place for people to live. So that's the value. The value is people live. And when you have a valley like this, you have limited places to put new housing, inventory becomes a limitation, a limiting factor. And that's why prices continue to grow in the US. I mean, in the Silicon Valley. Now, it could be St. Louis could crash hard, right? I'm not picking on St. Louis. It could be Dallas. It could be Austin. It could be Tampa. It could be anywhere USA. And because they don't have the right jobs, or maybe there's a big employee there that gets sold and then they move that headquarters to the new company. It could be they go out of business. It could be a plethora of different ideas. Those areas are going to sink, right? But overall, on the average, houses will continue to go through. Now, what happened here, 2008, 2009? A lot more people jumped out with their parachutes, got out of the market, and banks were the reason why, because they were selling toxic loans. They were selling toxic loans after they closed to the tertiary market, to the stock market, and that came tumbling down, which made it nearly impossible for banks to put a loan on houses. They were so afraid to do a loan, it could take 3 or 4 months. It took 3 or 4 months to close a loan. Sometimes it was a little bit different. Sometimes you had to go to hard money if you wanted to buy a house. I sold many houses during that time, and we knew that banks were taking their time, because what happens is as the market gets hot, they stop looking at all the little things that they're supposed to look at, because they're throwing loans and throwing loans and throwing loans. There's so much volume that they can't be nitpicky at everything. When things stop and all of a sudden it's like, oh, mea culpa, it was my fault, I better start dotting the I's and crossing the T's, things slow down. And that was an artificially inflated market anyway. So if you look at it, we came back down to natural. We came back down to natural and it continued to go up. Are we in an inflated market? I think so, but I'm not an expert in the economic strategies of the US, and I don't know what's going to go happening here. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. I'm banking on the market crashing a little bit. There will be less competition, and I'll buy a couple more houses and apartments when the recession does happen. This right here, that was an unnatural phenomenon because everybody that could fog up a mirror, I guess we used to call it, could get a loan. And they were buying 3, 4, 5 houses, and they didn't think of the long term. And lenders were just writing loans, didn't even care. They didn't think about it any which way or not. There was such a fever. And that's kind of what we saw here. There was a huge fever of home buying because we went down to 2%. We had free money, basically. You couldn't afford not to. I know a lender that made $1 million in commissions in 1 month. Crazy. But he was just, you didn't hear from him. All he was doing is stacking loans, right? Is it going to happen again? Maybe in another 10 years or so. Is this market going to crash? Even if the economy crashes, I don't think we're going to go into anything. Mainly because the majority of the people that bought houses or refinanced their house refinanced down to 2.5%. They can't afford to walk away from that house anymore, which lies into the inventory problem. So the demand is still there, guys. We're still seeing houses sell. We're still seeing houses close. 84 last week. That's just San Jose. We had 53 cumulative. That means 2 of those either canceled or went into contract, decreased. And then we had 24 back on market cumulative. And that's, they just popped out of market. That's a natural occurrence, right? You don't want it to happen. I have many videos about why you don't want it to happen. We had 18 cancellations, the same as last week. All right. So that's it. Do you want to promote the new Homebuyers Workshop? Link is down there and all the things. If you have people that are talking about buying a house, they don't know where to go, they have questions, please, we don't follow up with you, we don't bug you, we don't harass you. This is just purely information for you to do, right? And if you have a house, you want to see how much it's worth, click on that link right there. And okay, I don't want to do this. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow. Yeah, there you go. Sellers clutter-free tips that make your home look more appealing. There's your third thing we're going to talk about, but we'll talk about it tomorrow. There's a hook. All right, I'm Vito Scarneco with Abitano. We'll see you out there.